Hi, I'm Lynn. Today I'd like to talk with you about sewing corners. It's something that I've had a hard time with for years. No matter how I tried to sew them, they always came out rounded and lumpy. I tried every method I could find online, sewing them normally, trimming off most of the seam allowances, using smaller stitches in the corner, and putting one stitch across the corner instead of sewing it to a point. But nothing seemed to work. Then I saw some videos online, and by combining both of those techniques and adding an iron, I ended up with perfect corners every time. There are two ways to do it, so I have two swatches here to demonstrate both, and some orange waste thread. Hopefully it's bright enough to show up well so you can follow along. Let's get started. In the first method, we'll place the spare thread while sewing the seam. I'll start out sewing normally and stop just before I reach the corner. It's about one stitch from where I want the corner to actually be. Make sure the needle is down so that it's holding the fabric in place, and raise the presser foot. Now I'll grab that waste thread and wiggle it in between the two layers of fabric. You want to make sure the fabric is still straight and that the thread is up against the needle. Then drop the presser foot and sew one more stitch. Raise the presser foot and pull the thread around so it's on the left side, away from the other side of the corner. Then turn the fabric as you normally would. Drop the presser foot and continue sewing. You just want to make sure that the thread doesn't get caught in any other stitches. Once that's done, we can take it over to the ironing board. In the second method, we'll place the thread after the seam is already finished. This makes it great if the corner is in a spot where it's hard to pull the thread out of the way, or if you forget to place it in the seam. I've done that quite a bit, which is how I came up with this method. All you need is a small blunt needle, like the kind you'd use to sew knits. If you don't have one of those, you could probably use a sharp one and put it through the seam backwards. I haven't tried it, but the main thing is that you don't want a sharp point catching any of the fabric. I'll start by threading that needle with the waste yarn. Now I'll open the seam allowances and find the gap between two stitches, the corner stitch and the one right before it. Slip the needle between those two stitches and pull the thread through. Take off the needle and rethread it with the other end of the thread. Then find the next gap between two stitches, right before the gap you just used. Put the needle through there, being careful not to catch the fabric at all, and pull the thread through. Now you can continue on to the next step, which is the same for both methods. Let's get out the iron. Now I'm at the ironing board, and I've got my iron warmed up to the right temperature for my fabric. Before I press anything, I'm going to fold the seam allowances along the stitching into a nice corner. I'm not trimming them because it's a right angle. If this was a sharper corner, like on a collar or an angled tie end, I would need to trim it so that it folds up properly. Then I'll just press this down so it all stays in place. Be careful not to singe any fingers here. Now we're ready to turn the corner. I'll pinch that fold as I turn it so everything stays mostly where it should. You'll notice the corner is still not quite pointy. This is where the thread comes in. I'll grab both ends and just give it a little pull. There we go. That little corner pops right out. You can give it one more press to smooth everything out, and then pull out the waist thread. And that's it. Now you can get nice sharp corners on all of your projects too.